Welcome to the Antisocial Podcast. My name is Andy and thank you for tuning in. This episode is a bit of an interesting one in the sense that I can't name the guest. The guest is mysterious and he would like to remain that way. We'll explain why further into the episode, but our guest, as he would like to be referred to as the genius of podcasting, hosts the Skruins & Co. Breakfast Show, which is a Australian podcast that you can find on iTunes. And I'll put some other links on the andysocial.net website so you can check it out. But we spend a fair bit of time just more or less just talking shit for about an hour and a half. We talk about the podcast and the different segments and the whole purpose behind it, and talk about some of his time in China, spent 6 years in China, and a lot of the stories and things that have been created over the last couple of years with the podcast have come from experiences that he's had in China. It's an extremely funny podcast. It's very lighthearted. It's very silly and stupid. It's one of the only podcasts that I listen to where I actually get tears from laughing so hard. It's just something that you need to listen to if you're in the right frame of mind and you want a good laugh, because it's just really, really funny. Yeah, I can't give it any proper justice. You're just going to have to check it out yourself, but I'll put all the links in there. And I think once you've if you get through this episode, you'll get a real understanding of the type of humor that our genius has, and that will give you a bit of a taste of what the podcast is all about. So hopefully you enjoy it. I'll put a link to the Skruins & Co. Breakfast Show Facebook page. So if you want to reach out to our friend, the genius of podcasting, you can do so via that page. And anything else that I think we talk about, I can't even remember what the hell we spoke about in this now, but if there's any particular references, I'll chuck them in the show notes as well, as I always do. Anyway, enough rambling. Enjoy my episode and conversation with the genius of podcasting from Skruins & Co. Breakfast Show. I'm surprised you're at home on a Saturday night, or is that what married life's all about?
Yeah, I don't do fuck all. No, sometimes, I went out last night, went out and saw, Harmony in the Drones play.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I don't like to do it. I would be at the footy, but I've got to do stuff for work and stuff, and it creeps into my weekend. So I went out last night and did it. But then I was at this venue, and it was $10 a beer, and then they charge $3 each time you swipe your card, which I swear has to be illegal. You can't just go it's $8 now. Surely it's only 50 cents at the most, you know. and I've got a friend who brews beer, and it costs them about $30 to make their own keg, to brew their own keg. So you're thinking people like Pure Blonde or whatever, who must be doing it on a massive scale, like Carlton Breweries, they're making it for $10 at the most, and they're selling it now. They're selling bottles for $10, and now I'm paying $3. So I just got in a huff when I was on my Friday night, and then I got the late night tram home and just got yelled at by drunk people, and I was like, why do I go out? Why am I doing this? So I've become much more of a morning dude, and just getting up early and getting heaps of stuff done, and then just relaxing in the night.
That sounds like me, but it sounds like an old man thing to say. You know,
well, I have had 2 hernias, man, and I'm 30. How many hernias have you had?
Oh, you gotta live up to it. But I'm the same. We've my fiance and I bought a house, and we just the weekends we just sit around and watch TV, and then we're in bed by 9:30 on a Friday or Saturday night, and I just go, what the hell's happened to my life? But I'm up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm getting all these things done and feeling productive, and it's great. And then I get out and about, but it's just the whole world's just turned upside down, because I've just been so used for at least the last 10-15 years of just going hard every weekend and during the week and just running on no sleep, and now everything hurts.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm totally on board, except for that 5 a.m. bullshit you just pulled. No, otherwise, but also, yeah, because as you get older, you've done more days of life.
Yeah.
So it's like a job. After 30 years in a job, you're going to be better at it, aren't you? You're going to know what to care about. So you're just getting better. And in your 20s, you thought whatever that was important, and it probably was to some degree to get it out of your system.
Mm-hmm.
But then once it's out, you're like, you know what? I once had a fight with a guy at a venue because we'd been at this venue since 6 p.m. We'd hang around, we did the sound check, we did the show, we did the drinks, we hung out. So I've been there from 6, and then at 2 a.m. we were like, he's like, you coming to the after party? And I was like, no. He's like, why not? And I was like, well, what is it in it for me? He's like, I'm there. I'm like, I've just hung out with you for like, 8 hours. Like, I used to get paid to hang out with someone for 8 hours. And then he's like, oh, there'll be heaps of beer. And I was like, man, because this was in Shanghai, I was like, I can get a 12-pack of long necks delivered for like $8 Australian. Anytime, 24 hours. He goes, well, there'll be girls. I'm like, I've got my wife in bed. Like, he goes, well, there's music. And I was like, well, I got YouTube. I can play whatever music I want,
Yeah.
Play whatever volume I want. So what is there for me right now? And he's like, yeah, fair enough. and I said, all you guys are going to do is go there and fall asleep on the bar. And sure enough, his friend sent me a photo like 2 hours later who just him crashed out in a pool of his own vomit. Like, that's not a good time for anyone. And I don't handle hangovers well either way.
Oh.
I love drinking, but I like steady drinking, but I hate being drunk. If I feel myself getting drunk, I back off.
I get worse and worse now, where even when I get that slight wave of tiredness that sort of creeps in, I think it's almost like a point where you sober up just for like a moment and everything becomes clear just for that one moment in time. And then you go, whoa, like I could probably go to bed now and I'd be pretty happy. And then as soon as that thought comes into your head, you're on a downward spiral. You just can't get out of that. And there's only been a couple of times where I've been out and in the midst of this big session of drinking and I've had that feeling halfway through, and I've pretty much, at one occasion I actually got wedgied so hard that they ripped my jocks out, and that must have shocked my system so much that I came back to life and I was the life of the party for the rest of the night after that. And then the other time,
I think it was just you didn't have underwear on.
And then,
the freedom.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm free, yeah. And then the second time I just got slapped around so much that I came to, or whatever that means, and I was okay for the rest of the night. But apart from that, I'm exhausted, and as soon as I start thinking about it, it's just I need to go. And usually it's easier to sneak away than it is to say to people, oh, hey, I'm going to go now, catch you later, because as you said, like with the guy in Shanghai, it's just such a mission to convince people that it's okay to leave. And everyone's like, no,
yeah.
you got to hang around, you got to keep going. And you go through a similar conversation to what you had. It's like, well, what's there for me? And you're just going through all these things. And I've been through so many situations where, you get to the next bar or whatever it is, and there's these grand plans. And within about 10, 15 minutes of being there, everyone's sort of looking at each other and everyone's starting to droop. And people are starting to slur, and it's all catching up with them. And it's like, we might go now.
Hard out. Well, because I moved to China, I lived there for 6 years, and the thing I came back with, and it's probably the best thing about my personality, is that in China, if you don't want to go somewhere, they just go no. Like, there's no reason. Or if they want to leave, they just go, I'm going now, and they walk out. They're like, I'm going now. Thanks for having me. See ya. And there's no like, oh, stay for one more, mate. Oh, come on, don't worry about her. Just have a good time. It's like, why would you want a close friend to stick around and do something they don't want to do? Like, sure, they've come, they've had a good time. There's all these extenuating circumstances. Just let the fucking people leave. Like, we're all adults. Like, I pay so much in tax, and I have superannuation. I drive a car. Surely I'm within my rights to go, hey, I've had enough. I'm out. I'll see you later. And it might not be anything about you guys or the host of the party. It could just be like, I'm fucking tired. Yeah, I want to go to bed. Yeah, it's such a horrible thing Australians do.
Oh, and especially when you're more than likely going to see that person within the next 24 to 48 hours anyway. In most cases, I mean, if you were visiting someone and you were from a great distance away, then not that it's any more of an excuse, but you could probably understand that when someone turns around and says, oh no, please don't go, there's going to be all these great things happening, stick around. But when you're just with your mates on the weekend, you see them all the time, and then they start getting stroppy at you because you're walking out and you want to go home. That's when it just gets pretty funny. But I mean, it happens all the time to me, and I get a bad reputation now because I just disappear, because it's just easier just to disappear, and then I'll send a text message like halfway home if I remember, and I was like, yeah, I'm gone. And then they're trying to call you and you just ignore it. It's like, I'm not answering this. I'm not answering. It's not worth it.
I was at a Bucks party the other weekend, and we started walking to the next venue, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. So I kind of walked up a little bit ahead with my cousin, and I was like, oh man, the second we get in the corner, we sprinted. And we got around the corner and we just sprinted, and I was like, God, I hope they just don't walk around the corner and see us running. And so we were gone. Like, by the time, and luckily we ran around another corner, got on a tram, and we were gone by the time they got around the corner, because I was watching out the back window. So then I just went, phones off, let's do it. And we went back to mine and just had a better time. Like, and end up meeting again the strippers, which was, that was my first time at the Australian strippers. strippers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've been to the Vegas ones, which are real, but, like, yeah, the Australian ones were interesting. One of the girls makes $12,000 a week. Can you imagine that? Crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not that I could ever get away with stripping myself, but geez, if I could do that and get 12 grand a week, I think it'd be worth it, even with the sleaze bags and whatnot that you probably have to deal with.
I know. I thought about it. It's so, like, there's so much security. You can lay a hand on them. They can't do shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the security is straight on them. The worst is you're going to have a creep in the car park. They don't know your name. They don't know where you live. They don't know anything about you. They just know what your vagina looks like. Like, that's it. You know, and I can imagine most vaginas anyway now. So I don't know. And I still don't understand the point. Like, the girl's like, "Do you want a lap dance?" I was like, "Not really." Like, what do I get? Like, I get half an erection in my jeans, and then I have to walk to the bar or something. Like, what do I do with this half erection now?
That's right. And, I mean, I went to a few strip clubs when I turned 18 or in the early 20s and whatnot, but I don't know, it just nothing appealed to me unless it was sort of really, really late into a drinking session where you just didn't really care where you were going. You just wanted to go somewhere where there was music and something to look at, and there's a bit of atmosphere and whatnot. But there's people I know that swear by them, and they'll start their nights at a strip club and they'll keep going back there over and over again during the night. And I've got like friends in Melbourne that just hang out in King Street, and that's just they'll just go from one to the other. And then, you know, we'll be at another bar on the other side of the city, and they're like, "Oh, you got to come to the gentleman's club." I'm like, no, it's okay. I'll stay here. I'll catch up with you guys later. And they're like, "Oh, what are you, some sort of faggot or something?" And I go, yeah, I must be, because I don't want to sit in a bar with overpriced drinks and just get,
How is that? I don't understand how that makes you gay, because you're sitting in a bar where the majority of people are males who are turned on, who are ready to fuck, like, who have got so much blood flowing to their penis. Like, you don't want to come sit in that bar with all these men with, like, piss fat, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
No.
The ratio is not in your favor at all. Like, you're better off being in a normal bar where it's a little bit more balanced. I remember when I was 18, when I was living in Brisbane, we went to a peep show, and like, we were just all excited that we could go anywhere. We were 18, we were legal. And we went to the peep show just before we were catching the last train home. And it was like one of these really scummy $1 peep shows. So we go in there, and there's like the old school Lazy Susan in the middle of the room. It's this giant thing. There's this lady on it, and she's touching herself, and she just looked so depressed and disinterested in the whole thing. And she's just rotating like a rotisserie around on this Lazy Susan. And I'm looking at, and she made eye contact with me, and I just like shook my head at her and went like, "I'm disappointed in you." And on the other side of the room, I can see a mate, because it's like a circular thing, so you can see the other windows.
Yeah.
Other side of that little room, you can see my mate, and his shoulders going up and down, and his face looks like he's about to pass out. And I can see that he's having a wank on the other side of the room. And I just thought, there's nothing appealing here. And you don't want to touch the walls. You don't want to touch anything at all.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, look, when I was 18, it was a bit of a laugh, I guess. But
like, if you're going to start wanking, you're thinking about when's that window closing. You don't want to start masturbating with a deadline. You know, you don't be like, "Shit, go. That's crazy." Yeah, I went to one once, and we were all laughing because the girls, obviously, we were immature, and the girls like putting 2 dildos in her vagina, and then my friend "She's got a Band-Aid on her leg," and then she like tried to cover the Band-Aid with her arm, but still putting the dildos inside her. And she later went on to host Sunrise, so it was pretty amazing.
Oh, wow. Right, okay.
No, that's a joke. That's a legend. Don't sue. If you're going to sue anyone, sue the Antisocial Podcast.
Yeah.
You got heaps of lawyers and money on your side.
Yeah, I'm loaded. And anyway, any publicity is good publicity anyway, so bring it on. That's fine with me.
True. I listen to your podcast too, and I feel like I've already brought the tone down. Like, usually you're like asking questions about like heavy metal and stuff like that. and you've had real people on who, like, you know, pilots and all that sort of stuff.
I've had real people.
And all I've done is talked about, like, you know, strip clubs on King Street that look like a country pub, and all they've got is poker tables and naked girls on the poker tables. Like, in the light, he was like, "That's just the normal Pug Mahomes. That's the elephant in the wheelbarrow with the poker table."
That's right. Yeah. No, well, look, I need a bit of variety on this, so it's all walks of life. So you're helping fill the quota in this particular aspect. So it's good. So don't.
I listened to the one where you had the pilot, because I used to go to this bar in Shanghai where the pilots would hang out between their flights, you know, the days off, and they just buy you drinks. It was awesome. And I love talking to them. I love to ask questions. But you said something that is the same as me. You now are not a good flyer.
No. now I'm hopeless. I used to be fine, and then I overthought it, and now I'm shit. Even on a small flight, unless I'm just absolutely downing the drinks and I'm getting pretty loose, I'm thinking about every moment, every bump, and I'm just going, oh shit, we're only just like hanging up here in the air, and we could just drop like a rock, and yeah, I'm ridiculous on flights now.
Yeah, I'm not that bad, but I'm getting there. And I used to work full time, then catch flights around. So what we do is every weekend, me and my bandmate, I'll be like, you pick one city in China, I'll pick another one, and we'd fly there on a Friday, and then fly to the next one on the Saturday, and then fly back home on the Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, obviously flights are a bit cheaper there, and I was making okay money, and the band was doing okay. But like, we'd pick one at the end of China and one at the other end. It's like, oh no, not the 4-hour flight. Why didn't we just talk about this better? You know. But so for a year, every weekend I was catching 3 flights. Fine. And like Chinese airplanes aren't known for their brilliant safety records, but it was fine. And then like just recently, because I didn't have a flight for like, you know, nearly a year, I just noticed all these bumps and I freak out. Although I was nearly in a crash in February, I think. Or no, it was March. It was March where the plane started to go up the runway and then stopped incredibly suddenly, and people started to scream.
Oh, right.
And then we saw another plane coming down and land right in front of us. And like, if we had gone up, we would have got hit. I reckon it'll come out in a report in a few months, you know? Wow. They never announced it straight away. And then the pilot got on and he was like, hey, I'm so sorry. I got the all clear, and then the air traffic controller got on and went, stop, and just started screaming stop. So I stopped, luckily.
Oh,
yeah, like it shook the plane how close it landed to us. It was crazy.
You weren't flying that airline that sounds like it's an animal or represents an animal.
Oh, no, fuck no, man. I was flying an airline that people who haven't consummated a relationship would fly.
Gotcha.
It's called Richard Branson's Deep Pockets Airline.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, people have to take a bit of time to work that one out.
Because, man, the reason I fly that airline, and this is like psychology 101, the velocity reward points are totally working on me, and I know they're working, but I still go and like that's the only reason I buy petrol at BP now. It's the only reason I get out of bed in the morning. I'm always checking my points. Oh. You know, like the velocity reward system is totally working.
I'm a sucker for it. Like, we did a tour last year and I made sure every single flight was Virgin. I mean, that airline company. And even if they were like another $100 more expensive than Jetstar or whatever it was, I was just booking them just so I was desperately trying to get to silver status. And I didn't even bother to read what silver status was. I just made all these assumptions of what silver status would be. And then finally on that second last flight, at the end of the tour, I hit silver status before anybody else, and I'm rocking up to check in on the next flight thinking that I'm going to be able to get into the lounge, I'm going to be able to do all these great things.
Get a stripper on the flight.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, you've got, you get an extra bit of luggage, which we get musician allowance anyway, so that was redundant. And then you get 2 vouchers to go into the lounge per year. And then I've got to maintain a crazy number of flights to retain silver status. And to get to platinum, you just got to be flying every week, I think. So it was just that was my fault because I just didn't bother to do the research. But I got so psyched on these points and I could see them building up and these status credits or whatever they are. And yeah, I totally got sucked into it. But I mean, we fly with them majority of the time, and I've got enough to at least, I think, one way to LA or something like that. So, you know, I mean, I guess in the end, if you're going to be flying anyway, you may as well get some little bonus on top of it. So, and I go and do the same thing. I log into Velocity, then go through their portal and start ordering books or do menu log and all that stuff just to get like the 2 points for every dollar or whatever it is.
Well, I got real pissed when my friend bought a MacBook on the eBay and didn't tell me. And I was like, I could have got 4,000 points. God damn you. Yeah, and I put a restraining order out on him anyway. So, yeah, like, I take that very seriously. But even knowing all this, like, silver status thing is bullshit and all that, like, it still doesn't affect them. Like, in my heart and my brain and my stomach and my balls, like, I know it's not a great whatever, but I'm still like, I love Velocity.
Yeah, that's
right. Even when I see the ad, it's like, you can win 250,000 points for changing your home loan, and I see the logo down the bottom of the ad, I'm like, that's the logo. I've got that card in my wallet. And my mum works at BP, and I said, Mum, if I give you my card, can you just start swiping it every time someone buys something? And she said a dude at her work was doing it, and Velocity sent someone down because they found out.
Oh, like, really?
You didn't buy 100 litres of petrol every hour, you know, come on. That guy was flying too close to the sun.
That's right. There's you have to be a little bit more subtle than that. But I love it, and I love the fact that there's just this reward system anyway. But the annoying thing about it is I was looking up, because the problem was I was flying with work at one point, and I used to ride on the coattails of some of the other guys that were flying quite regularly. So I was getting to the lounge being the +1 for them. So I got totally spoilt going to the lounge all the time and, getting the free booze and eating and just sitting around and scratching my nuts for however long before I got on the plane. I thought it was the best thing ever. And so I thought, oh, well, I'll just pay for like one-off visits every once in a while. But it was something like $60 or $70 for 2 hours. And I guess you'd probably spend that amount of money at the bar at the airport, I assume, but it just, for the amount of time, and half the time you're not there early enough to really make the most of it anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think you sort of get sucked into it, and there's heaps of people that just will pay that money without even blinking. But I guess they're probably people that have got a little bit more of a disposable income than the rest of us.
Oh, they're life's winners, that's for sure. They're probably the most well-rounded, well-adjusted people that you'll ever meet.
Yeah, like Kate Sobrano, she was a good one. Oh, no, that was Qantas though. So did you hear about that one?
No.
She put a big Facebook post up last year because...
Wait, sorry, who was it? Sobrano?
Yeah, Kate Sobrano.
Yeah, isn't she a Scientologist?
Yeah. So,
is that like a desperate attempt to be like relevant in like Australia? Because, everyone, all the big ones in Hollywood, quite upper echelon of celebrity. And she's like, well, if it's working for Tom Cruise, I'll be a Scientologist too. In Australia, that shit doesn't fly, hey?
Yeah, well, I think, they probably needed an Australian representative, and Kate Sobrano was probably the highest up the food chain that they could convince to jump over into the dark worlds of Scientology. But yeah.
How fucked is your religion when Kate Sobrano is the top representative? Like, I reckon if I started a religion, by the end of this month, I could have someone bigger. Like, I'd have the bass player from The Living End who was like Rat in the Hat, or, someone bigger. Like, surely, if you are one of the biggest religions in the world, Scientology, I guess they're big. To have enough documentaries about them, and you can only get Kate Sobrano in a country of 22 million people. Just give it up, guys.
That's it. Well, what she did with Qantas was she put this big Facebook post up and just got lynched for it because she was complaining that they changed the dress code standards at the Qantas lounge and you weren't allowed in with thongs, and she was wearing these like trendy lady sandals or whatever they are, and they said, no, you can't come in. So she did this Facebook post where she took a photo of herself standing out the front of the Qantas lounge looking all disappointed and angry with her feet in the picture, and then made this big post about, basically, long story short was, don't you know who I am? And she just got ripped apart, and it was the funniest thing because it was just such a horrible display of entitlement from a Z grade celebrity that hasn't been relevant for probably 15, 20 years.
Yeah, besides like fucking up the lyrics of the national anthem, what song does she sing?
Oh, I can't even. I wouldn't be able to tell you because I was just thinking the only song I thought of was that I'm in Chains song, and that was Tina Arena. So
yeah, my first crush, by the way.
Yeah. That was definitely a one for the early teenager of me. That's yeah. Yeah, I was in primary school. It was that, and remember that movie with the Hocus Pocus? Yeah. There's a scene where Sarah Jessica Parker's on a broomstick and she's leaning forward, and you can see cleavage, and just like I've maintained that erection ever since. Like I've been edging ever since. I kind of taught seeing how to do it from then on. And then I look at her now and I'm just like, oh, geez. Yeah.
I want to feed her an apple through a fence. Like, it's pretty bad.
Well,
I was like, oh.
I don't even know that scene that you're talking about, so I can't even imagine her even ever looking attractive. But I guess, she'd be probably in her 50s now, I assume.
Well, it's all relative, because then I saw Wild Things, and then that was just a whole new world. I lost my mind.
Your standards start out at a fairly low spot, and then over time, as you discover the world, it creeps up a little bit more each time.
Kmart lingerie ads, hey. My mum was so nice though, because she never questioned why I kept the Kmart lingerie ads open near the toilet. she never moved them. She never acknowledged it. She just said, "He's looking for bargains, I guess." It was mostly just me masturbating for like, He-Man toys and stuff. It was on the toy section, Nerf guns.
Just an avid shopper, that's all. Shopper in the making.
Yeah. Now you know why I don't go by my name, because I can't say whatever I want if people can track me down and stuff. It's just way easier.
Well, we might even touch on that. So one thing that I noticed when I first started listening to it, because we've got a mutual friend, someone that you went to school with. And
Brutal Bread, we call him.
That's the one. And I've known him since I was about 17, 18. And I think I was just talking on Facebook about podcasts and what people listen to. And then he put the link to yours. And so then I started listening from there. But one thing that I just laughed at every single time I listened to an episode is that you guys would just change your names on every episode. And I was like, my natural progression once I heard it was, I got to find out who this person is. So I'm trying to search through to see like whether there's pictures of you tagged in it, and I'm trying to work out who this person is. And then I'm hitting up Brad, and he's just going, "Oh yeah, I'll have to find out for you." And it's like, what do you mean? Who's this mysterious person?
Yeah, that's good. He was being like a solid dude. It's like when Slipknot first started, and then now if Corey Taylor, the singer of Slipknot, posts like selfies every day on Twitter. Yeah. It's like, you wouldn't let anyone. When I first went to the concert, someone walked past the number 8 tattooed on their neck, and we lynched him. We threw bags of golf balls at him, because we couldn't figure out, is that you? Is that you? Is it you? And if he had an American accent, we'd get him. But yeah, so it's just a lot easier if I just, from the get-go, I've been, even before the podcast when I was playing in bands, I never really use my name. I don't want co-workers to know. Like, I like co-workers just to think like I'm the comic relief. I'm the nudge. I walk in, I eat a Tim Tam, I say something funny, and I go, or I fall over, and then I scum some like AFL tickets from the reception, off I go. Because I don't want them to know, you play music, we'll have to come to a show. I fucking hate babysitting people through that. And I hate when they're at the front of the stage and going, "We love you." I was like, that thing that you have to do. Yeah. And I hate that. And on the podcast, I talk about everything. I talk about almost everything, just without my name. So it's a lot easier. But I've never slipped up, which is quite, and if we have, we just bleep it out. And the thing with the names is we write it down on paper, fold it up, give it to them, and then they open it up on air. And they're really immature when you think about it. And they're just like, it's the ultimate in-joke every week, It doesn't even make sense half the time. I think the podcast is getting like stupider and stupider every episode.
Yeah, but I think it's good because most of the podcasts, and mine's probably one of them as well, where majority of the time it's fairly serious and there's some sort of theme or message or whatever it might be. Or there's, a particular topic. You got these business podcasts, and then one's about human interest pieces, and then obviously there's comedy ones and whatnot. But yours is it's just free for all. So you just go for it, and it doesn't matter. Like I listened to the one the other day where you had your mum in the background, and you had like those 2 new segments, and I was pissing myself, like just laughing so hard at those new segments that you did with your jingles, and it was just so funny because it was just so ridiculous. And I was listening to it, and I'm almost envisioning your mum in the background just going, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah,
but it's so cool because it's just, I think you just wing it and just go with the flow, and even if it fails miserably, it's still kind of comedy gold.
Oh, that's nice, man. Thanks. Really nice. You're the first person that I haven't personally met who's ever said something nice. No, just in general, like, not just about the podcast. Just acknowledge me as a human being. And my mum was in the background, and she knows who I am. And like, even when I was little, my sister and I we have this tape recorder, and we'd put it up against her door, and we'd record ourselves going like, "Hey, Mum," and pause and be like, "What's for dinner? Oh, why are we eating that shit?" And just like, and she'd be talking to a cassette player for like 10 minutes. And we'd try and predict her answers, and then we'd sit there and like giggle listening to it, because the conversation would get like more unhinged as it went along. Her answer wouldn't match our reply. And it was so much fun. So she's used to like my shit. And she's been on the podcast before. And speaking about your podcast not being funny, you had a dude who died and had his lungs replaced. Like, you can't joke too much about that. And sometimes you just want to be like, just tell me the story, whereas I would always chime in with stupid jokes. We did have a guy, my sister's fiance has had his leg amputated.
Yeah.
and we did an episode with him, and it was so much fun. But we just made fun of it. Like, we just like talked about how shit, when he was a Make-A-Wish kid, so Pink and Kylie Minogue would come into the hospital all the time. And then Vanessa Amorosi sent her manager up. It's like, you get one photo with Vanessa, she'll shake your hand, but that's it. It's like, we don't even want her. Like, I just want my leg back, or I want my hair to grow back. And I don't want this fucking absolutely everybody woman coming in to like, and yeah, she'd leave and Taxi Ride wouldn't leave. And like, those stories are the funny ones, but we probably should have focused more on like, yeah, your leg chopped off. That's pretty intense, but yeah.
Oh, well, it's still entertaining though. So, I mean, there's enough people out there that do the human interest things and trying to find the story behind the incident and whatever. And it's probably, you need a balance between it all. So I think what you're doing, whether it be intentional or not, it's awesome. I think it's really good from my perspective anyway. So, I mean, the funny thing with me is that I've just spent the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years just being this drunken lout that just is just riding this wave of intoxication and just causing so many problems for myself along the way, but in the most hilarious situations. Playing in a metal band and going out and drinking, and I was living for a long time in the inner suburbs of Sydney, so it's just every night was, you'd take advantage of every pub trivia that was happening in the whole area every night from Monday to Friday, and it was just constantly raging, and it was great, and that was my entire world. So it's only been recently where I think when I hit 30, I had this crisis where I was just panicking about, oh shit, what have I been doing with my life? And and then all the things started to fall into place, like buying a house and getting married and the rest of it. So it's sort of been this moment where I've sobered up a bit and gone, oh, right, okay, now I need to do something else. And then it just happened that time-wise, the idea of a podcast sort of came along around that time anyway. So it's just the whole direction of what I've been doing the podcast is just sort of ridden on the coattails of where I'm currently at, but I get the humor that you have in your podcast, and it's just so good, and it's such a good balance for me because I need it so bad. Because
you're fucking. I met with a mortgage broker the other week, and buying a house is scary. And let alone you bought in Sydney, so like, your house will probably be turned into a casino in the near future.
Yeah, that's right.
So Sydney's quite expensive, and just that the home loan and that debt, it's a very real thing. And I'm starting to get like financial bar. Our segment came out of a real thing of me going, I'm going to learn finances. Like I'm going to learn it because dumber people than me are doing better than me financially because of this, because they just know when to move their money and what to do and stuff. So I started looking at it, and of course I read a few lines of a book and was like, I know everything. I think that segment's proven I know fuck all.
What's his name up in Cairns?
Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, I'd rather if someone else wrote it in, to be honest.
I might have to scribble a note for you. But I do like the ongoing correspondence. Well, it's not really correspondence, just one-way letters from Dan. There's not a great deal back, but yeah.
I don't know what he's writing, to be honest.
Oh, and I just like how his letters just happen to show up just as you're about to go to hit that segment as well. It's quite good. Like the door just happens to knock.
I never thought about that.
Oh, really?
That's pretty good. God, you ruined it. You cancelled the segment.
Yeah, it's gone.
How are you going to write up this podcast? Listen to two white guys laugh about how funny one guy's podcast is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, me just complimenting you about how funny you are.
Oh, I love it. Let's keep it going. No, it's fine. So the next bit will tear me apart. Don't worry.
Just bring you back to earth. Yeah. You mentioned before about, and I was going to talk to you about this anyway, about living in China. So you're over there for how long?
Yeah, 6 years.
When I was 17, it was 17 because in Queensland you'd finish year 12 when you're 17 and turn 18 the following year. And I was hitting that. I was just horrible in school. I almost got kicked out and just got a bad exit score and didn't have a job and just a mess. But one thing that I was looking...
Could become a cane toad hunter.
Yeah, that's right. And... one of the things, like, parents are pressuring you to find a job and whatever. And I was just going through like the newspaper, and there was like, teach English in China and apply calling this number. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then I called them and they said, minimum 12 months. And I was still living at home with my parents. I went, how about 6? And they went, how about 12? And I went, no, I'll leave it go. But in hindsight, I kicked myself a little bit for not just diving in and giving it a go. But 6 years in China, that's So I can't even imagine. I'm just the only thing I can compare it to is living in Sydney for 10 years from moving from Brisbane. But obviously you can.
Depends what areas of Sydney. I guess more Chinese people own houses in Sydney than in China.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's right. But was it to teach English initially? Is that the reason why you went over there?
No, not really, because I did I did a Bachelor of Education.
Okay.
It was a 4-year course, and when we finished, everyone was like, "Where are you going?" And everyone's saying, "Oh, London. I'm going to London." I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "London, man. It's close to Europe." I was like, "Yeah, but why? What's the challenge there? Like, what's the benefit of going there?" I said, "Well, you can go to Europe whenever you want." I said, "Yeah, but London's not known for its great like public schools, and you'll be one of many countless Aussies there. You've got a whole fucking district like Shepherd's Bush is just basically Australian cockroaches. You're not well regarded over there. You just talking about cricket and drinking like in pubs. You can do that here."
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm like, "What's the challenge?" Like, if I was 16 years old or 66, I reckon I could do London pretty much the exact same way. But places like anywhere in Asia is a hard slog. You need like the young man needs to handle the squat toilets. You need this certain young naivety about I'll just go in there and I'll check this out, and you need that patience that comes with I'm going to listen to you in broken English for the next 4 hours on this bus ride so I can go to a temple that I don't give a fuck about. You need that dumb brain.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "Oh, okay, dickhead." And I was like, "Fine." And so I applied for a job in China and Japan. And Japan got back to me, but they said I had to start in June. And this is in November. But China said, "Yo, come in February." And I was like, "Done." So I got a job. It was teaching English at the start, but then I got into international schools. And I actually worked my way up into one of the top 10 most expensive schools in the world, which is fucked. When you're paying that much money, like 100 grand Australian or whatever it is a year, and you get dipshit from Bendigo, in Kmart shirt that he hasn't changed for 4 years. Wow, what have I done with my life? You see parents just instantly regretting every choice they've ever made. Yeah. And, I think if you were 18 and you moved there, your life would be so different, man. You'd be me. You would have loved it. The nightclubs there are awesome. The people there are crazy. Depends where you go in which city, but it's such an adventure. And, you would have had a Chinese life for sure.
Mm.
For sure. They were, nothing against your wife. I assume, is she Caucasian?
Yeah, she is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't find Caucasian women attractive anymore, but I didn't find Asian women attractive when I went there. So it's like this weird, I became this they call it yellow fever there, to be honest. And I became that dude, not like a sex pest, I was very unsuccessful with the girls. And I remember being so defiant to not be that white sex pest dude. So when I went out to the clubs and I was drinking and dancing, when I would dance, I'd go to a corner and face the corner and just dance facing the corner. How crazy is that? That's real. Or I'd go on the dance floor and the dance floors were on springs and it was like dancing on a trampoline.
Oh, right.
And I just faced the wall that the DJ deck was on and just dance into that. Because I just love dancing, but I didn't want people to think I was being creepy. But surely a white guy just dancing facing a corner, like the Blair Witch Project and these boogie nights, is the creepiest thing that could happen. And I was in this phase of just you buy bottles there, so bottle of vodka and you mix it with whatever you need, cranberry juice if you got thrush or whatever. I remember just getting to a point where I just tore the glass on my head and then just get up and dance. So I was soaked in this orangey light red fluid, just staring in the corner, just and kicking my feet up all the time. It's fucking ridiculous.
And you try not to be a sex pest. That's your goal. And
yeah, masturbating in a corner to techno remixes of Happy Birthday, which they played on loop.
Were there a lot of Were there a lot of Caucasian people there? Was there a lot of expats in?
No, because I moved to Tianjin, which is the Newcastle of Beijing.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's about a 2-hour drive out, but 30 minutes by bullet train now from Beijing. And it's a second-tier city. Still had 10 million people, but it's second tier. And it's up north, so it's a bit dirty, it's a bit polluted. It's an industrial city. So I moved there. And that was easily the best year of my life, but also probably the best decision I made. And I didn't even make it. I just agreed to go do it. And I didn't know any Chinese. I didn't know anyone there. I didn't know anyone who'd been there. And I was totally fine with it. I got on the plane. I was fine. I flew to Hong Kong, and I had shark fin soup, and I hate seafood, and I hate soup. I don't know why I did it. And then I swear at one point I walked out of the airport and then walked back in without anyone checking my passport or anything. I must have found a side door or something. I just walked out. I was like, I better get back in. Anyway, no one believes that story, but that's a true one. I remember standing outside going, how am I here?
Was that in Hong Kong?
Yeah. And to the Hong Kong airport. Then I flew into mainland China, into Tianjin. And it wasn't until, like, we were descending into Tianjin that, like, the airport just had dirt around it. Like, as far as I could see, just brown dirt. I couldn't see any buildings, couldn't see anything. And I was like, why didn't I research this place? Like, why didn't I look it up on the internet? Like, why didn't I look at pictures or meet Chinese people in Chinatown and to see what was happening? You know what I mean? Or reach out to my circle and say, does anyone know anyone who's been to China? And so I was like, what have I done? What have I done? And so the plane landed and the guy picked me up and he drove me into the city, and my apartment was in the very middle of the city, surrounded by nightclubs, surrounded by 10 million people. And it was like, I was like, oh, okay, good. I'm fine. I'm all right. You know, I thought, like, there was this thought that I might actually be living in a village. But yeah, I survived. And that year was also, and I met, like, 2 other Australian girls, and there was this American dude who I worked with who he wouldn't let his American wife out of the house, and he was a real prick to her and stuff, and so I didn't really associate with him because I went to dinner once with him, and I ended up leaving after 5 minutes, and I put the money on my steak, and I vomited out front of the restaurant. And then I was sick for 2 days, and I was, like, horribly sick. Like, I've never been that sick. I was just laying on my bed, hallucinating for 2 days. Every time I lifted my head, I just vomited. I missed 2 days of work, and only on the second day did they, like, send someone to find out where I was. My phone had no credit. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't move. I couldn't drink. I couldn't do anything. They carried me to the hospital, and the hospital said my, like, white blood cell count was 5 times what it should have been. Still don't know what that means. Yeah. And when I was at the hospital, sorry, you'll get a word in edgewise later. When I was at the hospital, the first thing was like, there was this guy vomiting into a huge bin, like the most intense vomiting, like, you know, the sound someone makes after they listen to a Lord album, just vomiting their guts up. And, like, the nurses were standing there and they were holding his wrist. And I said to my Chinese friend, what's going on there? He's worse than me. And they were saying, oh, no. The nurses are saying, next time you want to kill yourself, don't drink the poison. There's a vein in your wrist, slice down it. Don't go across, slice down it. And I was pointing at the vein so he could kill himself. And I was like, well, maybe Medicare isn't that bad. You know, maybe Health Works in Kangaroo Flat isn't the worst place to get hospital advice. Yeah.
Well, I won't get you to say the whole story because you did on one of the episodes. I can't remember which one it was, but where you talked about, was it getting your hernia?
Oh my God.
Done in China? Because you've had it done twice. And so
yeah, I had one in Australia and one in Shanghai.
Yeah, and you told the story, I think it might have been on one of the, when you're doing A to Z. It
would have been H. It would have been like whatever the
for hospital, yeah. And it was just insane what you went through over that period of time. It's just, I couldn't get my head around, I couldn't even understand what I would go through myself, just mentally trying to stay above everything of what was happening. But it just sounds absolutely insane. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, I didn't go through nearly as much as my wife's father did. Yeah. And he came down. It was in Shanghai. He was in Tianjin. It's like a 6-hour bullet train away. He came down. I said, I don't need you. Like, what? I've got nurses. I'm on the VIP ward. I'm paying good money for this. Like, and he goes, no. You don't understand. Like, the nurses here don't do anything. They take your blood. They check your temperature. You have to hire, like, local women to do the nurse stuff. And I was like these unwashed women who, like, from the middle, like from their hills had eyes kind of area, and they're like, yeah. And I was like, no way. He came down and he helped me. He like washed my back for me, and they gave you these like pants that there was like a V cut out of the groin, so your dick was just hanging out all the time. Like, and they were so big, and there was no drawstring that there was no point to them, you know. And I had a catheter, and I said, I've got to shit, man. Like, can you carry me to the bathroom? So he carried me, and he had to put the catheter, like, bag over his shoulder and pull me up, but the tube wasn't very long. So he had to have my dick right at his chin. And, like, yeah, I totally dispelled that, like, white men have big dicks, you know, rumor that was circling around Asia. I single-handedly destroyed that. And then, like, he got my piss all over his hands, so he took his wedding ring off and started washing his hands, and then he came back and he put me back to bed and was such a nice dude. In that time, a nurse came in and stole his wedding ring. Oh. I know, it felt horrible. He had to carry me everywhere. They wouldn't wheel me out in a wheelchair. They don't have wheelchairs in the hospital. So he had to go down across the road and buy one. And then he had to carry me out and wheel me out and stuff. Yeah. That episode, if you go to Skruins and just go to the H episode, like, very early on, think it's just called H.
Yeah.
There's that story in way more detail.
Oh.
But it was not fun. I do not recommend it. I still don't have feeling, like, to the top right-hand side of my dick.
Oh.
Like, no, not my dick, sorry, my groin.
Your groin? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that story was absolutely, it's just epic. It's just so intense. I can't even, I couldn't even wrap my head around how I would handle. I mean, you just have to go with the flow the best you can. But just, I think that fear when anyone talks about, oh, you should get health insurance or whatever when you travel overseas, just in case something happens. And then there's always this worry that you're going to end up in some hospital in some country that you can't speak the language or whatever. And you pretty much did that. And it wasn't just because you broke an arm or a leg or something like that. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I did have insurance. Yeah, and I did go to a good hospital. And I was on the VIP ward. They were just maniacs. And my Chinese was good. So they kept saying your Chinese is better than the doctor's. And I was like, oh, that's funny. And, that's so nice. And then they came in, the doctor had a translator. But the official language of China is Mandarin that they teach in primary school, high school, university. So how the fuck did this guy go through all that schooling and not even learn the language? He only knew his local dialect. Oh, it's like you growing up in like Wollongong and only being able to speak Wollongonese and not understanding the word of English. It's like, how the fuck did you survive? So I yelled at him and said, who did you steal that white coat from? It was all fun and games until, because he kept slapping my wound as well. And he threw his stethoscope on my open wound and they wouldn't give me pain meds. And then he had the last laugh because he was the dude who had to take out my catheter. And he just ripped it out. Like, you know that sound when you step on a dog's tail? I made that noise. Like, it was horrible. Yeah.
Because there's a bubble or something in the catheter, isn't it? Like it's...
Yeah, well, yeah. He must have, this lady came in and started putting lube on my dick, and I was like, when you've got a catheter, no one told me I was getting it, you still get morning wood. You still get erection. Yeah. So you still roll over. And then you wake up and, like, your penis is just open, like, way open because the tube isn't long enough or the bag. It's disgusting. Anyway, so this lady came in and started putting lube on it. I was like, oh, awesome. I was like, are you going to take it out now? And she's like, no, there's only one dude on this floor who can take it out. And then that piece of shit walks in looking like Cookie from a country practice. And he just he put his hands on the base of my dick and just ripped out. Like, so either he deflated it very quickly or she deflated it beforehand or they didn't deflate it. Oh. But, like, it hurt. And he had phantom tube for a little while.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone should go to China. It's a great
place. So how long into, I mean, you're there for 6 years. That's a long time. When did you actually start to pick up Mandarin? Was it within, a couple of months or was it a good year in or something like that?
No, within a couple of months. So if I had moved to Shanghai straight away, I wouldn't have learned any Mandarin. But because I moved to this place where every time I went out, someone would go, hey, you want to come to my house and have dinner? And I was like, yeah, of course. So I met all these fucking people and their mums and dads would ask a question at the dinner table and I'd hear it in Mandarin and I'd hear it in English and then I'd hear my answer from English back into Mandarin. So I could start to pick up like words. And then I'm just lucky that basically all Chinese people over the age of 45 ask the exact same questions in the exact same order. So each time I went to dinner, I'm like, I've got the first sentence, don't worry. And the second time, I'm like, I've got the second sentence, don't worry. And then the third question, I'm like, can you help me out? So I picked it up okay then. And I was really, like, I had mostly Chinese friends. And I'm, in the local rock club and I'm like in rehearsal spaces, it was just Chinese people. So the music was a really good way to kind of get immersed and speak. And every time we went out to clubs, people wanted to talk to us. Like, they thought we were Olympians because I was over there in 2008. And I did not tell them I wasn't. Sometimes I got security guards there. And if you want a girl to like you, man, like if you want strangers to like you, go on a dance floor with 2 security guards on either side. And as you dance, girls will just rush up and try and kiss you. It's the best.
How did you get the security guards, though? What do you do? Hire them?
No, you just say you're an Olympian.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, foreigners were getting stabbed, so it was like a bit of protection as well. And the guy did try and get us. And then all the security took him out and left us vulnerable. You think, like, at one stage we had 8 security guards around our private booth. I don't know why we got one. And the guy tried to get in, and they all took him outside, but left us open for attack. Yeah. I'm sorry, have we covered anything you wanted to cover?
I didn't even know. I was going to write down some notes and then I just didn't even bother to do it. So I'm just going with the flow. So it's good. It's good.
Yeah, cool. Well, hopefully the Andy Social podcast listeners are like the diehards. I'm sure you definitely have diehards.
Yeah,
they're just like, oh, this is the best episode ever. This guy's for president.
Yeah. And well, one thing that sort of gets me is I always try to learn a language here, and because nobody speaks anything but English, and yeah, okay, it's pretty multicultural, but you know, unless you're hanging out in like a particular area, like a Chinatown or something like that, or a heavily Greek area or Italian area or whatever that's actually speaking the language daily, you haven't got a hope in hell of learning anything here in Australia. And like, you know, I'm sure when you're in high school and you had to pick like a language, or in primary school, it was like it wasn't taken seriously. It was like a bit of a joke that you'd just learn a couple of words and sentences and that was about it to pass. And it was never like, you know, in Europe, you have to learn English. It's mandatory, and you have to pass it by, you know, a really early age and be able to speak fluently to get by and be able to travel between countries. But in Australia, I think we're just dead shits. We don't know anything else apart from English, and at times I think we all struggle with that.
Yeah, so I've noticed, because my wife's Chinese and we were obviously living back in Melbourne together, I've noticed Australia isn't really set up for non-native English tourists. It's very hard. It's very, very... It's like, a lot of things like, just get our app. And I was like, how? Like, how do I get that? You know, get the internet. Well, how? No one offers Wi-Fi. You're on 4G here. Like, we'll get a SIM card. Well, how? Okay, well, and also like in Shanghai or everywhere in China, on the subway signs, they have English and Chinese, you know? And made it really easy. They have like phone numbers you can call to translate to taxi drivers and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure Australia has that sort of stuff, but it's not as in your face. Like, it's kind of like, just fend for yourself, have a great time. We've got the Great Barrier Reef. Sure, it's fading away, but it's there still now. So it's kind of like, yeah, way just like way more independent. So I don't know how Chinese people come and travel. Usually you see them in big groups, and that's because it's easy to get a visa and it's easier to get around because a bus will pick you up and you just kind of herd like cattle. But yeah, learning a language there was easy because I was immersed. If I wanted bread, like I had to learn how to say the fucking word bread because I couldn't draw it very well. And I had a near breakdown once because I was trying to buy a clothes horse, you know, to hang your clothes on.
Yeah.
I challenge anyone to draw that. It is impossible. It's just a triangle and lines. And of course, I didn't realize that I knew the word for clothes and I knew the word for horse. So I was putting them together, but that makes no sense in that language. And so I was like galloping around and I was like pulling at my clothes. They took me to like 40 people gathered around me on the street and watched me trying to figure it out. And they kept coming back with like coat hangers and stuff. I was like, no. They took me to the police station.
This guy's crazy.
Yeah, and then I got on a date with the police officer there. She's like, "You're cute. You want to go on a date?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I said, and we were eating dinner, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Well, it was a great catching up, whatever." And she's like, "Oh, cool. My boyfriend's about to pick me up soon." I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Oh, by the way, watch out. There's a guy in your neighborhood who's killing people and cutting off their heads and throwing it in the garden." And I was like, "What? I haven't heard anything about this." And she goes, yeah. We told the media not to say anything about it because we don't want to scare people. I was like, well, now I'm fucking petrified. And they never call me.
I have no idea how you could keep your sanity, just like, because it's just not so unpredictable of every situation that you're in, and just like everything that we're used to, whatever social norms we've got here, it just seems like in a lot of cases it's just turned upside down there.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Yeah, and it's even like interesting with my wife now, like her idea, like for instance, our dishwasher, we never use it. We don't use it. She doesn't think they clean the dishes properly. And I kind of agree with it. But we have all our cups and glasses in the dishwasher. Okay. And in our cupboard, we have all the boxes that the cups came in. So I was like, can't we just take them out? We'll flatten them. We'll put them under a couch. And then we can put the glasses in the cupboard. She's like, no, that's stupid. And I was like, but if we leave the dishwasher closed, because it's got a seal, they get all like steamy and kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Humid, I guess. And she's like, well, then we'll just leave the dishwasher open. And I was like, no, fucking, we've got a perfectly good cupboard. Like this kind of logic is just, there's two stories I'll tell that sum up Chinese logic for me that really broke my brain. There was one where I was sharing a hotel with a girl, we're on tour, and she had a shower, and the hotel always gives you like slippers, you know? Anyway, so she had a shower, and I went in to brush my teeth, and I went in my socks, and my socks just got like drenched to the ankles. And I was like, what the fuck has happened? And I was like, did you have a shower with the shower door open? And she's like, yep. And I was like, but you just watched the whole bathroom get flooded. Like, it's leaked onto the leaked under the door. And she's like, yeah, but they gave us slippers, so it doesn't affect me. And I was like, but if you just close the door, you wouldn't need to wear the slippers. She's like, yeah, but they gave me slippers, so it doesn't matter. And I was like, you flooded the whole bathroom. Fuck. Yeah. And the second story is when I was at Guangzhou Airport, I was like, I want some ice cream. And they had 2 scoops of ice cream and 3 scoops of ice cream. And I said, I'll have the 2 scoops. And they go, we don't have it. We've sold out. I was like, oh, okay. She says, well, we've got the 3 scoops. And I was like, but what? And she goes, yeah, we've got the 3 scoops. And I was like, well, can you just give me that, but just stop at the second one? Like, don't, or take the third one out. And then, just throw it in the bin. I don't care what you do with it. Just give me the 2 scoops. Like, no. Like, there's only one ice cream. She's like, yeah, it's only vanilla ice cream. I was like, but it's from one big tub. And we went around the circle. She's like, yeah, it's one big tub. Well, can I just have 2? We sold out. Even now, it's just ridiculous. And so I said, fine, give me the 3 scoops. I got 3 scoops. And I said, hey, watch this. And I got 1 scoop and I put it in the ashtray. And I was like, that's how you do 2 scoops. Yeah. Like, so I was the prick in the end of that situation. But that fucking hurt my brain so much.
But for that one, was it a case that they were doing it to be difficult? Like they understood what you were trying to say, but it just didn't matter. Like that's what it is. And
I don't know. I don't, if she had gone, like, she came up, she took the order, and she didn't go away and say, oh, well, I'll see if we've got it. She knew. So obviously maybe she was going to charge me for 3, but put it through the 2 on the till or whatever and keep the change. But yeah. Either way, that conversation, like, went around and around. She was very good at playing dumb.
Oh, and you had 6 years of this.
Yeah, I mean, they were great days. I mean, you have it in Australia too. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I live in an apartment in the city. I'm looking at a hotel right now, and from Friday usually at 11 p.m. and Saturdays usually at 1 to 2, people just go on their hotel balcony and just howl. They just howl at the moon. And it's obviously these fucking people from, like, Gisborne or whatever who have never been, like, higher than 2 stories, who just, like, oh, I'm in the city, and they just go crazy. It's like, you're an adult on a balcony. It's not that high. Like, what are you doing? If you jumped, you wouldn't even sprain your ankle. And then, so, like, I look at Australian culture and I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Is there a lot of things that your wife notices with Australian culture that just doesn't, like, in the reverse, it just doesn't make sense to her, that aren't logical for her, that are just normal here?
Yeah. There's a lot of laziness that she's like, people get on the tram for 1 stop and then they just get off. Like, just walk to 400 meters, that sort of stuff. She says everything's very sweet here. Shane's really, like, sweet stuff. Like, the jokes are very, like, sex-based jokes or kind of, yeah, like, in China you don't really make those kind of jokes, so you make them a very different way.
Yeah.
The way Australians can't handle their piss, like, we drink a bit, we can't handle it. Like, the way people, like, kind of spit in people's faces as they talk and just blah, blah, and then, like, this one fucking punch bullshit. And it's like just having to, like, the inability to pass a stranger on the street after, like, 10:30 p.m. and not acknowledge him, like, hey, dickhead, you know, or like, fucking not shoes. Like, yeah, I saw a guy punch a pole last night. Like, that sort of, Chinese people just get wasted. They might fight. They might fight. They might. I saw someone smash a vase on someone's head, which is uber Chinese, and they'll gang fight. Like, you'll piss them off, and it'll be cool for half an hour, and then, like, a van of their friends will come up and they'll fight. But then mostly just go into a corner and vomit like a dying cat. Whereas here, we're just like, we're letting go forever, and then, like, just yell at each other, and it's just weird aggression, you know? So even I've noticed that, like, yeah.
And especially...
Have a look when you go out.
Yeah, I see it heaps, and where I live, I'm, like, almost smack bang across the road from an RSL club, and you just get, and I'm in, like, a more rural area now, like, I'm not in Sydney these days, so you get, like, this completely, it'd be like Bendigo, you know, and I've been there a few times, and you'd have, like, the local club or whatever, and once it hits midnight and everyone's getting kicked out, just, like, I can hear the people across the road trying to have a conversation, which is usually, where's the taxi, or how can I get into a car to get home, or how do I get home? But instead of just those normal questions, it's articulated in a way that usually involves screaming or crying.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
But it's like just a bunch of babies, toddlers have just been let out of a room, and they just don't know what to do, and so they just start kicking and tearing each other's hair out. It's pretty amusing, but at the same time you go, I'll just stay here. I don't need to go
man.
out
So
anymore.
there's a show like Kebab Kings on SBS. I think it's on SBS, the website. Then watch that and just be like, we're a developed country. How? Like the way we handle our alcohol, and just be like pulling our pants down in the kebab store, and it's really dumb. And the fact that they have it in them, like even if you filled me with as much beer, like before our drunk caddy episode, I got filled up with as much beer as I could possibly take. And I not once got violent. I not once wanted to punch a stranger. I just wanted to talk utter shit with my cousin. I've got recordings of what I was trying to say. It was just me trying to make jokes, but it was just coming out as drool. Like, I don't have it in me. So obviously these dudes have it somewhere in them. It's like, deep down, they just want to smash. I think it comes from too much testosterone. And the only solace I can find in that is like testosterone is a huge thing for like going bald and getting prostate cancer. So it's like, that's going to come back into play, guys. Like, chill out a little bit, This alpha male shit, yeah. And one last thing I'll say I noticed about Australian culture coming back, and my wife definitely noticed, and I've said it to some friends, and I've had them come back at me and go like, holy shit, you're right. Like, I just see it everywhere. All our food is golden. I look at anyone's plate. Anytime you go anywhere, like to a restaurant or to a servo or whatever, it's all just the same color of gold. There's no green, there's no white, there's no red. It's just, the only red is tomato sauce. Have a look at how much, go to any food court and try and find food that isn't just gold.
I'll have to have a look. I had chicken parma tonight, so it was definitely all gold, and everything on that plate was golden, apart from, actually, you know how you go to a pub or hotel and it's like, oh yeah, I'll get like a chicken parma, and it's like, oh, do you want chips and salad or chips and veggies or something? So yeah, oh, I'll have chips and salad, and then you got like this parma that takes up most of the plate. Then you got the chips that just probably need its own plate itself because they just give you so many, and then there's like this tiny little bit of salad that sits right on the edge of the plate. That's sort of, it's not even worth being there at all. It's a couple of little bits of leaf, and that's about, and maybe a slice of onion, and that's the color on the plate. That's it.
Meanwhile, when I go to the doctor, I have to fill out a form to make sure I don't have diabetes, because diabetes is such a huge problem that they're trying to eradicate now. They're trying to get to communities, especially lower socioeconomic communities, where it's just like soft drink, man. I gave up soft drink ages ago. I only drink water in the mornings now. And I'm not a health nut. Like, I'm just like, my teeth were fucked. Like, I spent $10,000 on my teeth coming back to Australia because it's so expensive here. I had some root canals and shit. I got weak teeth anyway. I'm too beautiful for this world. And like, and I was just like noticing that there was dips in the afternoon where I was getting cranky. And I was like, oh, I'm not a cranky dude. I try not to be a cranky dude. But when I was on sugar, I was like, you can't avoid sugar, but yeah, it's crazy.
It's a drug in itself. I mean, there's heaps of documentaries about sugar, and I started getting into it a while back, just watching it all, and then realizing, oh shit, I have a lot of sugar. And then as soon as you stop eating it or drinking it, it's like, it's like coming off crack or something like that, and you have those withdrawal symptoms, and those people get dope sick or whatever it is. It's just, it's similar to getting off sugar. It's just, you get really moody and headaches and all sorts.
Well, hard out, because I was good from January until last week. Pretty good, really good. Even I survived Easter and shit. Like, I did really, really well. Just no chocolate, no lollies, and I was fine. And then I ate a mint at work, and the mint, I just thought it was a normal mint, but it had chocolate inside. And I think I've eaten like a semi-trailer worth of Tim Tams in 5 days ever since. I sucked a guy's dick just so I could have like a Tim Tam milkshake from Gloria Jean. Like, I became the biggest fan. I stole so many VHSs and like VCRs just to get some honest Tim Tams. It's crazy. And that's being on a downward spiral. I understand why, like, how people can slip up so easily,
That's it. It only takes one thing, and then you just completely, you're gone after that. There's no turning back. It's insane. Yeah. I never did the soft drink thing. I was pretty lucky because I drank it a fair bit when I was a kid, but I think, well, good and bad. When I started actually going out and drinking alcohol, I just stuck to beer for the most part, and I just didn't go down the spirits path, because I think I would have continued to drink a lot more soft drink over time and just get used to it. But I think I just more or less stopped around 18 and just didn't really, once in a blue moon, I might have something, but I was pretty lucky in that sense. But I've got a lot of friends that just pound liters and liters of Coke every day, and they do the Coke.
And V, man. V, like energy drinks are fucked. Yeah. Hey, you on heart palpitations? No, not really. Pour this down your throat and jump off a cliff. Jump from the edge of space. Fucking hell.
I'm bad enough with coffee. Like, I only started drinking coffee probably about a year ago, and I'd always just been anti-coffee because I was sick and tired of hearing people at work going, "Oh, I can't function without my morning coffee." And my fiance just drinks coffee. She's Italian, and so they just all drink coffee. And so after a while, I went, okay, I'll try one. And then I just got hooked. But I didn't get hooked on like, a latte or something really sort of soft and easy to digest. I got hooked on long blacks and espressos
and crack cocaine and the coffee world.
And I can't have anything left. I can't have anything less than that. But then the trial by fire, it was almost like starting to drink alcohol for the first time because I didn't know my limitations. So there was one time we played down in Melbourne, we pulled an all-nighter and we had a red-eye flight the next morning back to Sydney. And so here we are at the airport at 5 a.m. in the morning and the cafe just opened. And so I'm stumbling up drunk and I thought, I need a coffee. And I said, give me the biggest coffee that you can give me. And they're like, oh, okay. And I said, I want a long black. And they looked at me and they said, how many shots do you want? I said, well, what's the max? And they said, well, the large one's 4, but we can put an extra 1 in there for you, but you probably shouldn't have anything more than that. I go, all right, I'll go by your recommendation. And I passed out in the plane. I don't know how the hell I passed out in the plane, but by the time I got back to Sydney, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I had never felt like that before. And my first reaction was, oh, I'm getting fat. It's because I'm unfit and, I really need to stop drinking alcohol and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm carrying like a massive backpack. I've got a road case. I've got my guitar. So I'm carrying all this heavy shit as well. And my heart feels like it's about to explode out of my chest and I'm just getting faint. I'm about to faint and all woozy. And it wasn't until probably about 12 hours later that I put 2 and 2 together and went, oh, it was that coffee that I drank.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm like you, but I was like you. They're like, I have never had coffee in my life. And like people, I was once in a meeting and the woman punched the table and stormed out. And then came back 2 minutes later and goes, sorry, I haven't had my coffee. And I was like, that's not acceptable with any other substance.
No, it's not.
So yeah, I'm like, but I haven't cracked yet. I don't think I will because I don't hate the smell of it. I hate the taste of it. Even if after I kiss my wife, tongue kiss her passionately after she had coffee, I vomit a little bit, It's disgusting.
I don't understand it because anything that had coffee flavor, so you had like coffee flavored, milk chocolate drinks or whatever, or chocolates or whatever that had coffee flavor, I hated it. Like the taste was so repulsive and the smell was disgusting. But I don't know. One day I just decided to start drinking it, and it was almost like when I was 16 and I have a beer and I hated the taste of beer, but I forced myself to drink it because I wanted to be accepted and wanted to be part of the cool crowd. And then I built this tolerance for it and then just started liking it. And that's what happened with coffee. And now, like the other day, and what made me think of it was, you're talking about, getting the withdrawal symptoms from not having sugar. One day I just forgot to have a coffee in the morning. I just didn't have time. And then by about 10 o'clock, I had the worst headache. And I'm just sitting there going, why am I pissed off? And why have I got this headache? And then I realized, it might have been because I didn't have a coffee in the morning. But I didn't want to say anything to anyone because I didn't want to be that douchebag that goes, oh, I've got a headache, so I haven't had a coffee, and let me go and walk off so I can go and get a coffee and come back, and so I can actually wake up or feel human again. Because I've always hated that. It's just one thing that grinds my gears.
Yeah, it's crazy how addictive it must be. And how old are you? 30 now?
30. Oh, geez. 31.
Okay, so you're a year. We're very similar people, but you're a year ahead of me.
Yeah.
This is like sliding doors. So in 1 year, let's check back in.
Yeah.
And let's see if I'm on coffee. I reckon I won't be because my heart, I have an adrenaline problem.
Yeah.
And I reckon if I had coffee, my heart would just blow it out my ass. It would be awful. I'd be like the Rocketeer or something.
I think if you can avoid it, it's probably a good thing to not bother diving into. The only positive thing that I found was it's sort of if I went out, and I used to only get excited about going out if I was going to drink beer somewhere. Like I couldn't go and meet up with people and just catch up and go and like people go, oh, let's go and have a coffee somewhere. I'm like, well, I don't drink coffee, so what's the point in meeting up and doing anything? If we're going to a pub, yeah, sure, like we'll go and grab a drink, and it was like in my world socially acceptable to do that as opposed to going to a cafe. But once I started getting a taste for coffee, then it almost became exciting to go to a cafe and have a coffee. And so my alcohol intake went down a little bit because I started drinking all this coffee. But the problem is I've just smashed the coffee, and I'm just drinking way too much of it and wasting so much money. Like for a long black, you're paying like $4.50, $5.50, depending on where you are. And it's just water and a bit of coffee in it. And that's it. And I mean, and don't even get me on tea, because tea's even worse. You pay $4 for a tea bag in boiling water, and that's it. So it's just crazy. So I mean, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. But there's positives and benefits to it. But I think overall, if you can avoid it and hang out and just don't bother with it, then I think you're better for it.
Coffee is the key to making people give a shit about global warming, because coffee is going to get more expensive in the future, in the very near future, because global warming's meaning like most of the places that were growing the coffee beans in South America and wherever else it comes from, they're getting like half of what they used to. And eventually, as it goes up and up, obviously it's smaller, so it'll become like diamonds, and you'll be buying your wife, a carrot, one coffee ring or whatever. But like that's the only way to get people to give a fuck. If you said to Turnbull, hey man, you know how you're trying to first of all, I don't know how any politician works for years to get into power only to go like, I'm gonna fuck everyone off in this office. Why would you cut funding to anything? I don't understand it, But anyway, that's another topic. I can be like, your coffee is going to get what people are going to. There's going to be blood war. There's going to be blood on the streets about coffee cups soon. Let's bring that carbon tax back in or something.
Yeah,
I learned this recently from a coffee dude.
About how the coffee's going to go up in price.
Up in price and going to become a bit more scarce. And look how much people drink now. You've got maniacs in metal bands drinking 5 shots in the morning.
Well, I know guys in bands that stereotypically you'd assume are just massive pissheads, and all they do is drink. They just drink coffee. They don't even drink alcohol. And so when they, you go somewhere to tour, and then they'll just find the nearest coffee shop to go and have coffee and sit around and chat. And it's just like, totally breaking the stereotypes of what you think these guys are. But, there's heaps of people. I mean, I used to work in the city, and you just see these cafes just lined up with people waiting for takeaway coffees, and they just make it killing. There's just so
much.
Donut
stores as well, man.
Yeah.
Donut stores around Australia. People just line up for them.
Yeah.
It's weird. Donuts and coffee is we've become American police officers. They're like highfalutin American police officers.
So there you go. So that's the key to get the attention of the Australian public or anybody that is in the Western world. Just hold up their coffee and their donuts and let
no one gives a fuck. No one cares about the bees. No one cares about the pollen. No one cares about the food chain. But they care about their coffee, because otherwise they're going to have headaches every night at 10 p.m. and they're going to be punching through the plywood and the drywall every morning.
That's right.
So angry parents.
Any aspiring politicians can take that on board. That'll be their secret weapon.
No, I'm aspiring. That was my campaign.
Oh, that's
This is me formally announcing I'm in office. I'm running for office.
You heard it here first.
How are you for time, man? Do you need to we good or?
Oh no, we're good. I was going to ask you about the podcast itself. One of the things that I guess for me, I had sort of a particular motive when I started it initially was. Well, 2 things. It was to do some sneaky cross-promotion for the band without making it obvious that I was trying to promote the band. But it was also just...
Lord! Sorry.
Metal
band in Sydney, South Australia. Lord!
And then the other thing was, if for whatever reason down the track that, the guys all don't want to do it anymore and the band sort of just stops, that there's something else that's still there that keeps going on, and I've got another creative outlet if I don't feel like doing music anymore as well. So, but for you, what was you've been doing it for a couple of years now. What was the whole purpose behind getting it started? Was just a laugh or something to do to fill in the time?
I always like projects. I think having a project is really good for everyone. I reckon that's the thing that makes people get old quicker, when they just stop having projects, you know? So I've always had like things with those bands. I was always like writing blogs, like a website, or doing like, I did this thing, kind of like a TV show in my bedroom, whatever, that I've always just been doing stuff, and I've always just wanted to try stuff, and I know that I'm not great at things, but I still like to do them, and like, who knows where it'll lead to, and who cares if no one likes it or whatever, as long as it's fun as shit. And I like speaking, and I like, when I feel quick-witted, or when I feel like I've got a good joke in, or, you know, if it's been quick and I feel really good about myself, but sometimes you have fucking horrible days and you really slow off the mark. But I was like, I love stories. I love telling stories. I like seeing where ideas go, and it's really just heaps of fun. So I'm like, let's just do a few episodes and I'll talk about China and all that sort of stuff, and just tell stories, and just grew from that. And then people come on, and, you know, we've had heaps of different guests, and I've done ones where it's just me pretending to be a radio station, and like now it's just like to see which way I can take it. And so I think it's not really a promotional thing, because even though me and the main co-host are in bands and we have things we'd like to promote, we never do. And even though some of our guests would love to promote the stuff they do, they're anonymous a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because that way they'll share more things. So they don't want to promote their band or whatever. Or you have cases where other bigger bands come on the podcast and they end up saying stuff they kind of regret, so they don't share it. So the circle's not getting bigger as such. And at the start I was kind of worried about that. I'm sure you went through it as well. Everyone kind of was like, how can I get more listeners? And then I started to think, like, why the fuck do I care? Because it's like going to having your own show, and there's 11 people there, and you're like, where's Stacey? Stacey said she'd be here. Derek, I went to his fucking art opening last weekend. Where's Derek? You know, like, I haven't appreciated the 11 people who actually left their house to come here. So, like, we do get more than 11 listeners, but, like, I'm like, am I appreciating the people who actually already listen, or am I just desperate for more people? For what fucking reason? You know, like, when I stop this, I'm going to be think about, like, the bands you're in previous to Lord. All that pushing and shit, you're like, why did I do all that work? Like, it got me nowhere. Sometimes it does lead you to awesome people, and sometimes it's always worth the push. But in short, I did it for fun, and I did it. And are you like me now? Like, I love it more than bands. Like, I love it. It's so much easier. It's so much more rewarding in some ways. There's no sound checking. There's less. Like, you're doing one right now on a Saturday night from your house, probably naked, I assume, with your fiance staring at you going, how long is this prick going to talk for? You know, tapping her watch. But until I said hi, I'm sorry. But, yeah, it's something really fun about it. And apparently, when someone dies, the first thing that goes from your memory is their voice. So now I've got, like, podcasts with my sister in the background, and my mum and my wife, and all these people who are really dear to me. And also, if I ever start to get old and boring, which will happen, like, I can always go back and listen to this. And if I ever reproduce, and I've stood next to way too many Chinese photocopiers to actually really have any sperm left. If I do have kids, like IVF it, then if they find that one day, that'd be amazing. They'd be like, oh, our dad was the king of podcasts. What a legend. Let's go pray at his shrine right now. Even though I'm not dead, they just build a shrine for me because I'm a legend. So, yeah, there's so many rewards to it. There's not many cons. Like, once you buy all the gear at the start, it's pretty fucking easy and awesome, man. It takes over your life in this weird way. If you already did a podcast today, you're doing a podcast now. Tomorrow you probably, I don't know, a podcast, I'm guessing. You know, you always think about it. You're always uploading. You're always writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it because you nailed on the head before. Like, compared to playing music, there's a lot of preparation and effort that goes into, you know, writing or recording a song or performing it. And, you know, a lot of the times you need other people on board to do it as well. So, you know, worst case scenario with a podcast is you just need another person that's agreeing to do it. Or even if you don't want to do that, you just talk to yourself and it's recorded and then it's out there, and it's as good as what is dribbling out of your mouth at the time. But a lot of people, I mean, it's a cool thing. I love listening to other people on their podcast because it's either purposeful and it's informative, or it's just about nothing, and they're both as important regardless. And I love listening to people dribble shit for an hour, and while I'm driving to work or you know, doing something else that's mundane or whatever, and I'm getting a laugh while I'm doing something that I'm probably not enjoying at that point in time. So I think it's just, I don't know, it's a cool way to connect with people without directly connecting, if that makes sense. Like, you're not, like, that's the weird thing. Like, a lot of the times, like, apart from like talking to somebody on the actual episode itself, when you're doing, like, when I just do my little intros, or you do your radio ones, and you're just by yourself, you're pretty much just talking to yourself, and then you put it out there. And unless people are messaging you or calling you and saying, hey, that was really funny, you just see like a little download count, and that's it. So you don't know what's happening. You don't know what the reaction is. You don't know whether people are liking it. Well, you assume that they must like it enough that they keep coming back and downloading more and more of them in the future. But it's really like this one-way street sometimes, that you just don't know what's coming back. And it's kind of cool in a way, because you just put it out there into the void, and then it might stick to something and it might not. But you sort of, by the time it's already out there, you're done and you move on, and it's out there. And it's a cool thing to come back to later on down the track, if you want to get a bit of an understanding, because everyone's memory of years gone by warps over time, and you get a bit of a weird sense of reality. The longer you sort of travel along life's path, and I think if you can go back and listen to yourself dribble on podcast episodes, it'll probably be a lot more clearer.
Totally, yeah. It's kind of shit. And why would you want to do something kind of shit? And people say, like, I don't know how you have time. And I was like, well, what were you doing last night? They're like, just watching MasterChef. I was like, turn it off and do something.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably one of another great things that came out of China, because I didn't understand the TV. I stopped watching TV.
Yeah.
And not in this, like, hipster fucking, I don't watch TV. It's just that I didn't really understand it. So I just stopped. I watched a lot of DVDs. So all of a sudden I was curating what I watched. And then I would listen to podcasts, so I'd curate what I listened to. I wouldn't stumble upon that much, you know what I mean? Like that looks interesting, but it wasn't like back before I left where Rogue would be on, and I'd be walking past my TV and just sit down and stare at it for ages. And I'm like, why did I just watch fucking Rogue? Like, I don't like that dude that much. I don't think he's witty or anything. Why did I just watch it? And I was like, now it's Die Hard again on TV. Oh, wait, it's 8 minutes, and now there's ads again for 4 minutes. Like, why am I sitting through this? So all of a sudden you lose time. Whereas in China, I just got used to, like, sitting in a room with silence and just working on something or having an idea or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or working with a podcast on which gave me my own ideas. But I think TV sucks a lot of ideas out. And so I'm like, when people are like, oh, I don't know how you actually get all that stuff, how do you make all those jingles? And I was like, well, like the 40 minutes you sat and watched garbage, I was doing something, ignoring my wife. That's what I was doing.
You were putting
wanted
together...
to spend quality time. I said, no fucking way. I need to sing about bullshit in the microphone.
I need to record Financial Bras intro. Hey, can you... I guess part of the reason why I wanted to get you on for this episode was I want people to check out your podcast, because I think a lot of people will get a laugh out of it. But do you just want to quickly run through the current segments that you have on the podcast? And I know that changes each episode. Like, some you might not have on. It's not every episode. Obviously you've got unique jingles for all of them, so I don't need you. Oh, you can try and recreate them if you. No, you need.
We got to about 50 episodes without the jingles, and it was only recently when I realised how easy they were doing. So we just recorded our 100th episode, and it's not up yet, but we stockpile shit.
Yeah.
And my co-host realised, he goes, all your segments are the same. All they are is just an opportunity for you to ramble. He's like, because at the start we do Melbourne surround towns, the question house, which were meant to be really hyper local questions, like what's the best train station in Melbourne? So now it's just turned into me ranting about real estate agents and how much I hate. And then we usually go into enemy list, which is where I put someone on my enemy list. It's usually a real estate agent. So I fucking hate them. I don't know your job. You might be a real estate agent.
No, I'm not.
Then we have things I think I'm good at, which is you say something that you're good at. Now, the best one I reckon is when someone said they could plug things in very well in the dark, which is a real skill, I think. Then we go to financial bra, where I give financial advice, or maybe snorkeling bra, where I give snorkeling advice, or paintball bra, where I give paintball advice. Then we go into a new thing called If I Put My Mind to It, where if I put my mind to it, could I Tongue Kiss Delta Goodrum? Probably yes, I reckon.
I love that intro for that one was so good. Especially I can't recreate it, but when you just threw in like I can't even remember how it goes, but it got really intense at one point just before the jingle ended. I can't remember how it goes, but
it's like when if I put my father's fucking mind. I just like the idea of having like a real sweet jingle, because my idea is to have a YouTube channel and it's just like pictures like of kids storybook and like me reading it like, and then the duck said to the other duck, no way, and then just go fuck and just ruin some kid's like life, you know, and just be like fuck you. And like that's just something I want to do, because sometimes when I play YouTube clips at work and I'm like, oh, I hope this is okay for like people in the office, and then I'm just like, oh, it's fine. And like, imagine if someone just did some good, just like fuck you, dickhead, and like, oh, it'd be so much fun. Do those like jump scare things. Anyway, that's if I put my mind to it. And then we go to Skruins Frank Tank, which used to be Skruins Shark Tank, but we changed it to Frank Tank, where I pitch an invention. Then we usually talk for 5 minutes. And then we do my poorly thought out theory, where I give a theory and people generally applaud it and say, that's pure genius, well done. You've really made everyone around you proud, and this wasn't a waste of time.
Well, the first episode I heard was one of your FM episodes where you did the radio thing, and I had no idea what I was listening to. I didn't understand it. I actually thought it was like a recording from an actual radio program that had aired earlier in the day. No. At the start of it, like just the way that you came in at the end of the song, and I thought, oh, okay, so you know, you're putting up the podcast now and you've just taken out the music because, you know, you don't want to waste time replaying the music again. And then it wasn't until about halfway through that I went, hang on, I think this is all bullshit. And, and then I thought, oh, I better not tell anyone, but I'm saying it now, but I had no idea what the hell I was listening to start off with. It was so funny. So I thought, oh, this is pretty hilarious. I wonder where like this actually gets aired normally.
That's cute, because I recently did another one where I pretend I'm in a radio station and I was doing the hottest 100 song countdown. Yeah. And there was one where I did a secret sound segment, which is one of my favourite things I've ever done, because it's mostly just me hanging shit on Jamiroquai, because I fucking hate Jamiroquai. But my mum heard it and she was like, so who called in? And I was like, no, that was me. And she was like, okay, well, how many people voted for the songs? And I was like, no one voted for the song. She's like, so you just said it? And I was like, yeah, I just said it. She goes, but what came in at number one? And I said, and she goes, well, who voted for that? And I was like, no one fucking voted for it. I said, this is like the fucking 3 scoops of ice cream all over again. She couldn't fathom that, like, I could just say that someone had called in, even though it was me putting on a really bad voice. You know what I mean? She just couldn't figure it out. She's like, so how'd they get your number? And I was like, no. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, I mean, you gotta take that as a compliment. It just means how awesome you are at podcasting.
No, I put her in a home. Like, I took her as a real son. She was losing the plot. Yeah. I see her on Sundays now. And it's costing me a fucking fortune.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up there, because I just saw the time. I didn't realise how long we've been going for, but
yeah, you're a maniac. Yeah. Your listeners will drop out, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I wonder what the dropout rate is. That'd be interesting to see what. Actually, I'm glad I can't see that. I'd probably be really disheartened when, like, after 5 minutes of the intro, they haven't even bothered to listen to anything more. Fuck the guest. Who cares?
No. Usually, if they can listen to the intro, then it's the rarity. I always skip intros. Like, it's going to get the good part.
Yeah. Well, look, thanks so much for having a chin wag and chatting. And I think next time I'm in Melbourne, I'll have to hit you up and.
Yeah, man, come on the show for sure.
Yeah,
you touch mine, I'll touch it. Thank you so much. I have told you, I said, if you ever want someone, and you're like, yeah, totally. And it's quite rare that like you can talk for an hour and a half or whatever with someone you've never met, and the conversation be so flowing. So that's a props to you, and your listeners are awesome, and your fiance is good for putting up with your bullshit.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm going to put links for everyone that can check out the podcast, and I won't put any contact details for you apart from your Skruins page, just so you can stay mysterious. My
number's usually scrawled on toilet walls anyway. They'll figure it out.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much, and we'll chat soon.
Bye, no worries. Thanks so much.
Catch up. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Hope you got a laugh out of that one. It was pretty ridiculous, and it was so good to speak to the genius. And I really hope you guys give Skruins & Co. Breakfast Show a shot. It's on iTunes, so you can search that way. I believe there's probably a couple of other ways you can check it out, but probably go to the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Skruins and Co, one word. But I'll put links on the andysocial.net website, so you can just do a quick link from there. That's about it. Thank you so much. If you're listening on iTunes, tap a few taps of the old finger and give me a rating and a review. You should also give Skruins one as well, because you're all nice people. And if you're listening via Omni or Stitcher or through the website itself or YouTube, any way that you can share the episodes around is a huge thing, and it has a massive impact on the podcast. So I'm finding that there's more and more people listening each episode, and a lot of the new people tuning in is usually from a direct recommendation from one of you guys that's been listening for a longer period of time. So it's really, really cool. The word of mouth thing is so important, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun seeing it grow bigger and bigger each time. So thank you so much. andysocial.net is the best place to find everything, and you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've even got a really crappy Tumblr account that I don't even know how it works. So if any Tumblr experts out there want to get in touch and let me know how the hell I can maximize that one, by all means, I'll be willing to take any tips that you may have. But you can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet, and yeah, that's about it. Enough rambling. We'll speak soon. Bye bye.